So one of the problems that we're having these days is that there's simply too many scandals on a daily basis. And this is an actual strategy that Trump got from Steve Bannon in particular. I believe he called it the Rolling Thunder strategy or something like that. And that's how we get a situation where Trump said, I'm going to sue the IRS for $10 billion, his own IRS. And obviously what's going to happen is the IRS is going to counter and say, we'll settle out of court because we don't want to spend the money for the lawsuit, but we'll give you like $100 million. So will you take that? And Trump will take that. And that's literally Trump robbing the American people to the tune of $100 million is what that's going to be, right? Even if it's just fucking $10 million. That's like way above and beyond what the presidential salary is. The presidential salary is only like $400,000 or $500,000. And he does this trick where he goes, I'm giving up my salary. I don't need it. I'm doing this for the people. But then he'll turn around and sue the IRS and steal like 10 million or 100 million or whatever it's going to end up being, right? So that's one scandal that would be enough to like literally take down any other government. But Trump's government is so corrupt and so insane and so extreme, and they do so many just preposterous things on a daily basis that it's impossible to fucking keep up. So in the midst of the Epstein files coming out and the regime change in Venezuela and the threatening of Greenland and the fascist Gestapo shooting Americans in the face in Minnesota and the Constitution being shredded right in front of our eyes where they don't abide by the Fourth Amendment and they don't care about warrants anymore. In the midst of all of that, we get this story. Take a look at this. 4 days before Trump's inauguration, lieutenants to an Abu Dhabi royal secretly signed a deal with the Trump family to buy a 49% stake in World Liberty Financial for $500 million, according to documents and people familiar. The buyer paid half upfront, steering $187 million to Trump family entities and $31 million to Witkoff entities. That's one of Trump's closest friends, who's working on foreign policy shit, by the way, and personally profiting. The investment was backed by the UAE National Security Advisor, Tahnoon bin Zayed. The deal put two executives at his company, G42, on the board of WLF, alongside Eric Trump and Zach Witkoff. Okay, ready? We're not done. Days before the inauguration, the Trump family secretly signed away 49% of World Liberty Financial, their crypto company, in a deal with a UAE royal, according to documents and people familiar. The $500 million investment came months before the UAE won access to U.S. AI chips. The World Liberty Financial deal was signed by Eric Trump and split into two installments. The first $250 million was paid up front, steering $187 million to Trump family entities and $31 million to entities tied to the family of Steve Witkoff, who was just named U.S. envoy to the Middle East. Now, by the way, Steve Witkoff, he's been doing this everywhere, where he'll go somewhere, he'll cut a deal financially for himself and his family and for Trump, right? And then he'll bring Trump in, and he's like the mafia don's right-hand man who gets a little taste, gets a little piece, and gives the big guy a bunch as well. And so even though he's ostensibly going around doing foreign policy, he's not actually doing foreign policy. He's doing, this basically global corruption scheme is what he's doing. The investment was backed by Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE's national security advisor. Tahnoon oversees $1.3 trillion in a business empire, but his AI ambitions had been stymied for years by U.S. officials over concerns about his company's ties to China. As a result of the deal, two top executives from Tahnoon's AI firm, G42, took seats on World Liberty's board. They also sit on the board of another Tahnoon company, MGX. In May, Tahnoon's MGX elected to use World Liberty's stablecoin, USD1, to invest $2 billion in Binance. The deal was marketed as an organic endorsement of World Liberty Financial's technology. The company never disclosed that it shared leadership with MGX. Months after the investment, Trump pardoned Binance co-founder CZ. They call him CZ. People close to the UAE royal family had urged the Trump administration to pardon CZ, saying it would help bring the world's largest crypto exchange back to the U.S. People familiar with the matter said CZ also paid Trump, and Trump gave him the pardon, so more pay to play there. And this guy, by the way, his big crime not only was committing all sorts of fraud, he also laundered money for Al-Qaeda, laundered money for the guys who did 9/11. Insanity. So as Trump, stop and think about this, as Trump is blowing up innocent fishing boats in the Caribbean, claiming they're involved in the drug trade, he's pardoning a guy who laundered money for Al-Qaeda, the terrorists who attacked us on 9/11. He also laundered money for the drug cartels. So, Mr. We're tough on drugs, narco-terrorists, we're going to go after them. Pardoning somebody who worked closely with the cartels and with Al-Qaeda. You cannot make this shit up. So, just a crazy, crazy story. But the part that's super important is this company has ties to China. And the fear was, if you give the AI chips to this company, then China will pay, this guy, and he'll give up the technology to China, which takes away a strategic U.S. advantage. But Trump and Witkoff don't give a fuck about that because they're not doing statecraft, they're doing corruption. This is one giant corruption scheme where as long as you get fucking paid, they don't care about the consequences. They don't care that they just gave up a strategic advantage that the U.S. had over China and now completely and utterly blew it. I've never seen corruption and incompetence to this extent because at the same time, Trump is pissing away the U.S. advantage. He's giving China a leg up. I've never seen anything like it, where you're making BRICS more appealing to everybody by the day. You're making trade deals with China more appealing to everybody by the day. As you start fucking attacking Canada, you start attacking the EU, you start threatening them, talking about Alberta separatism, right? So you're making it more appealing to work with China, and you just gave China an edge when it comes to AI as well by selling the chips to a middleman, which will eventually get back to China. Again, never seen anything like it. So we're dealing with a president who's so corrupt and involved in so many schemes. He has a crypto scam, shitcoin, and launched it 2 days before his inauguration, robbed his own supporters. Melania also robbed MAGA at the exact same time. Their crypto exchange was what we're talking about here. 2/3 of the World Liberty tokens are bought by foreigners, by the way. 2/3 of them. 2/3 of them. It is insane. Eric and Don Jr. have a Bitcoin mining operation. They created this club called the Executive Branch Club, which is $500,000 to join. And it's this big pay-to-play scheme where everybody who's got money in D.C. who wants to get in with MAGA, go pay $500,000 to Eric and Don Jr., and then you get access to the president, you get access to special deals. You got this totally illegal Trump hotel in Dubai that's being made in violation of the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution. The golf course in Qatar. He took a $400 million plane from Qatar. There's a Trump Jr. backed company called Vulcan Earth, where they took $620 million from this government Office of Strategic Capital. They created a company just to have U.S. taxpayers pay them. I mean, it's so insane. There's the resort in Vietnam. There's all the money they took from Saudi Arabia for the live golf events at the Trump courses. There's the pay-to-play pardons. There's the money they took from Miriam Adelson and Sheldon Adelson in the past. There's the $160 million Trump made from foreign countries as president. Again, all of that illegal. He's made over $3 billion off the presidency. I think we're getting closer to $5 billion now. And this at the same time, the American people are struggling and they can't pay the bills and they're losing their health care and inflation's out of control and unemployment's going up. You have Jared Kushner, who took $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. You have a $500 million project that they're building in Oman, again, completely illegally, because that means they're profiting from foreign countries when they're not allowed to, as Trump is a sitting president. And that's to say nothing of the fact that Trump's charity was a fraud and his university was a fraud, and he stiffed his workers for his casinos and his hotels, and he was found guilty of tax fraud and insurance fraud and business fraud. This is who this guy is. This is who this guy is. It is the Trump crime family. It is a criminal cartel. He is more of a mob boss as the head of a mobocracy than he is a president, okay? And this should come as a surprise to absolutely nobody because, of course, Trump was the head of the cabal of pedophile billionaire elites. It was him and Jeffrey Epstein. He was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. He was a co-conspirator. They ran the world. And a lot of these billionaire pedophile creeps also were into bestiality and torture and cannibalism. And it's very clear that this extreme wealth that Trump is a part of and Epstein was a part of and all these billionaires are a part of, it rots your soul. It rots your soul. It makes it so you cannot recognize right and wrong anymore. Morality is out the window. Ethics is out the window. They end up fucking raping kids and torturing kids. Okay? That's what's happened. This is a depraved class of criminals and they rule over us. And that's got to fucking stop. It's got to stop. They should be arrested. They should be charged. They should be arrested. This corruption scheme alone, again, is a big enough scandal to end Trump's presidency. But since it's one of like 7 things he did just today that are impeachable, nobody's even going to talk about it. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.